Hello and welcome to the final part of this multiple exposure self-portrait video tutorial. In the last part I showed you how to use the masks that were created using photo merge to reveal each of the different eds within the picture, and we've now blended all of those together so we've got our 5 eds in the screen. What I've also done is just to add a very quick shadow to this ed in the foreground so that it just blends in a little bit better with the ed on the phone. So if I just switch off that shadow, and you can see the before and after, and it's just pushed that ed back into the scene a little bit. And it's very simple to do. All I basically did was to select the lasso tool. Shortcut for that is just L on the keyboard. Then I just very quickly copied round foreground ed, making sure that I had a nice lot of ed selected there. So you can see it's not particularly accurate. Then created a new layer just below the ed layer and filled that with black. So just using the paint bucket tool for that. Shortcut for that is just K. Then deselected this new layer. If I switch off the top layer, we can see our new shadow. I then just applied a Gaussian blur to that. So blur, Gaussian blur, taking the blur up to about 50 pixels and clicked OK. Then I've just skewed that just so that it starts to cover the ed in the foreground. So if I go to Image, Transform and Skew, grab hold of that top corner, just start to drag it across, double click to apply. You see there's a little bit too much covering the top, which we don't need, so you can just use the eraser tool on that. And also I just want to take the opacity of the shadow down a bit, so we can just take the opacity down just so that it starts to blur in. So if you look at the before and the after, and you can really see how that just subtle shadow has helped just to kick that ed in the foreground just back a little bit. So we now finished that. What I've done is to do the other two sections, and I've flattened those all down, so we're just left with 3 separate JPEGs. So if I close down this Photoshop file, and we're basically left with single layer documents. So there's the central section, here's the next section, and finally we have the dartboard section. And now all we need to do is to use Photoshop Photo Merge just to stitch all of those together. So if we go up to File, New, and down to Photo Merge Panorama, we want to add all of our open files, which is our 3 files. Make sure our layout is just at auto, and literally just click OK. OK, we now need to leave Photoshop just to get on with the photo merge process. This generally takes a couple of minutes, and you can see it slowly building on the right hand side. OK, there we have it, and the great thing about photo merge is it'll also create these masks, so we can now just check around the image, and if there's anything that we need to alter or change, we can just go back in and make any changes. So let's just take a closer look, and as we look around the picture, see that one of our characters is just missing here, so we can draw him back in a minute, but the rest of the picture is actually looking pretty good, and we just need to crop that in a minute or two. So if I just click through the layers, find out which layer is hiding which, so we can see this bottom layer is actually hiding the character who's just over here, and that character isn't actually showing in this top layer. So we need to make him revealed. So again, I'll swap my swatch to white. I've got my brush tool selected, shortcut for that is B. I'm going to click onto my actual layer palette, and then very carefully I'm just going to start revealing Ed's head there. Let's switch on the background layer just to see the effect that that's having. So what I want to do is just very carefully just reveal the Ed peeking over the shoulder of the other Eds and having a look at the card game there. So there we have it, we've just revealed that Ed there. Switch back on that layer as well. Now zoom out, and really all I need to do now is just to crop this image in. So I'm going to select the crop tool, shortcut for that is just C, or you'll find that in the tool palette over on the left. I'm going to hold down space, just move right the way over to the right hand side, and I'm just going to quickly draw down with the crop tool and move that all the way over to the far right. Then just check that that's all okay. I need to just move that up slightly. And that crop's also helping with the blend of those two characters in the foreground. And we've got just a little bit of space up in that top right hand corner, which we'll sort out with a bit of cloning in a minute. So if we're happy with that crop, all we do is click the confirm key. That'll crop our image in. Just check that we're safe all the way around the picture, which we are. And now just quickly zoom in. We see there's a little gap just up here, and obviously we've got this area here which we just want to repair with the clone tool. So before we do that, we just want to flatten those three layers into one. So make sure you've got top layer selected, hold down shift, click on the bottom layer, and then go Control E to flatten those down. And now we can attack those little areas that need repairing. So just going to increase the brush size slightly, hold down Alt, just click below that line, and I can just use that to fill in the brickwork and take that right up to the speaker. And again, just have a look over here. We've got this wire which is trailing off, so just make sure that I take my clone point from the wire. So just hold down Alt and left click to take your sample. Again, hold down Alt just to see where it is so you can match it up exactly with the wire. Then release Alt, then left click and draw. And now you get quite a nice sort of merging in of the two. And basically here we just got to very carefully just clone in that ceiling area. And just keep resampling. So as you're moving along, you're just resampling so that you get the best possible effect. Again, with the roof, just need to do exactly the same. Okay, and there we go. So we've just prepared that corner over on the right, and we've stitched all of those images together. Okay, so we've filled in those repairs, and there we have our final multiple exposure self-portrait.